And seniors that this is a class, so your earbuds and phones. Christine Orvetz, principal of Fremont Ross High School. On behalf of the Ross School community, we would like to welcome our veterans, community members, students, and staff to our 12th annual Veterans Day celebration. I would like to take this opportunity to thank senior Ava Smith for all of her dedication and effort in organizing this year's event. I would also like to thank Mrs. Gallagher and the Teen Leadership Corps who have assisted Ava in the development of today's celebration. Lastly, while saying thanks seems so small in terms of all you've sacrificed, I and the entire Ross School community want to thank our veterans for your commitment to our country, the people of the United States of America, and to our Fremont community. At this time, Girl Scout Angie Bigelow will now post the colors. Thank you.
Veterans, when you volunteered for military service and took an oath to support and defend the constitutions against all enemies, foreign and domestic, each of you prepared for that oath in part from a life of pledging allegiance to our nation's family crest, the American flag. As we recite the Pledge of Allegiance aloud, let us consider some of its deeper meaning and images of our country's history of sacrifice for others. When we say the Pledge of Allegiance, the flag is more than a symbol. It's a protective blanket of freedom representing centuries of sacrifices and triumphs along our collective American journey. Let us remember the good we can do if we work together as one nation under God. Remember, we can be broken, but never divided. Please join me in reciting our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If you would please remain standing, senior student Anthony Van will now sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
We will now have our Fremont Ross Marching Little Giants playing the service sets. So if you could, please stand or give us a wave when you hear your military branch song being played. Band, eyes up. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Americans celebrate our national heroes in ways that have become the envy of the world. Those that honor us with their achievements, their courage, their sacrifice, and their record-setting performances. Yet every year, our nation sets aside the 11th day of November to honor our most important heroes, our military veterans. Through their dedication, sacrifice, deaths, dismemberments, and unwavering devotion, we have reaped the opportunities and blessings of this nation and have enjoyed the freedoms and liberties afforded no other people on earth. Throughout our history, they have stormed beaches, advanced on bunkers, dropped behind enemy lines, and created strongholds that no enemy could break. They have dropped bombs, launched rockets, and hurled grenades. They have thrown flames, fired rounds, and rained fire upon our enemies from the sky. They have endured the coldest winters, embraced the steamiest jungles, and survived the hottest of hells. They have crossed the roughest seas, the hardest deserts, the highest mountains, and the thickest jungles. They have endured separations, captivities, injuries, and even loss, yet they have never failed. We owe every measure of our respect and every ounce of gratitude for every bead of sweat and drop of blood they have ever shed. During times of great crisis and even direct attacks, Americans have answered their nation's call. On December 7, 1941, during the attacks on Pearl Harbor, or September the 11th, 2001, when terrorists struck the innocent in New York, Pennsylvania, and the Pentagon. Those called to serve left families, farms, fame, and future to put feet to words like duty, honor, and country. America is strong because they were stronger. We are free because they never surrendered. We are blessed because when character and courage mattered most, they never turned their back on those at home. November the 11th is a special day, but by any measure of lives lost, sacrifices made, and services rendered, every day is Veterans Day.
Sorry, I almost read the wrong one. Please enjoy Amazing Grace, played by our orchestra students Macy Merrill, Alex Heinlein, Mariska Reiki, and Carson Rao. Our keynote speaker is Lieutenant Colonel Julie Barrier, who retired in April 2022 after serving over 26 years in the United States Air Force. She was born and raised in Fremont, Ohio, and is the first officer in her family. She recently moved back to Ohio with her husband Joe and 2 children, Madison and Parker. With her today in the audience is her husband, Air Force veteran Joe Barrier, father, Marine Corps veteran Lonnie Burke, her sister, Christy Wyatt, a Master Sergeant in the Colorado Reserves, and her aunt, Sue Dorsey. As of November 7th, she is working at the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services as the Disabled Veteran Outreach Specialist. Please help me welcome Lieutenant Colonel Julie Barrier.
Thank you, Ava. Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to speak to you today about my experience as a military member and ultimately a veteran. Before I begin, I'd like to have a moment of silence for all of those military members and veterans who've answered the call and paid the ultimate price for the defense of this great nation. Thank you. Happy birthday to the United States Marine Corps, 247 years today. So just for a quick poll, if you could hold up your hand and keep it up, how many of you are either a military member, considering joining the military? Some of our high school students, maybe. A veteran? Have a family member, brother, sister, mother, father, child, or even a friend who is serving or has served in the military. Take a quick look around. Thank you. Let's give that a round of applause. I know I'm going to say a few military terms or military concepts that some of you may not understand. You may have some questions or you would like more information. I will be glad to speak with anyone who has any questions or wants to talk more. I'll leave my contact information with Mrs. Gallagher for you to contact me afterwards. It was a brief 25 plus years ago when I was in high school. I was sitting where you are now, and I had to listen to a Veterans Day speech. Honestly, I didn't truly understand what a veteran was. I had attended ceremonies in front of the courthouse, listened to relatives tell me war stories, and still I didn't quite grasp the concept of the military or a veteran and the amount of dedication they have to our country. However, the image I had when I heard the words military member was something I admired. I believe they were held to a higher standard, and now as a veteran, I know they are. What I mean is, where else can an on average 23-year-old be given a $50 million fighter jet and the opportunity to go Top Gun at a red flag in Nellis Air Force Base? Or like me, become an intelligence officer and lead a team of intelligence professionals for Special Operations Command? Or fly aboard a $1 billion aircraft, the Airborne Warning and Control System, also known as an E-3 airplane, and conduct radio operations, ensuring communications between commanders and all the air assets and the ground controllers on the ground. Although the military is only 1% of the U.S. population, we represent all walks of life. Everyone from rural America to inner city, from the farms of Ohio to the skyscrapers in New York City. Every race, religion, binary and non-binary. And begin as military members and end as a veteran. In between, we establish a bond as brothers and sisters, a family in the procession of arms. With our uniforms pressed, we stand tall and ready. We carry ourselves in a particular way to represent the United States of America. Is this the image you have of the military? Is this your understanding of a veteran? I was born and raised in Fremont, Ohio. I attended St. Anne's from 1st through 8th grades and then transitioned to the junior high, which was torn down years ago. Switching from a Catholic school to a public school was difficult. I didn't know many of my classmates. I had a lot more classrooms to switch between in a matter of minutes. Transitions are always not the easiest, but how we handle situations makes us into the people we are today. I made a few friends in 9th grade, and those true friends are a great part of my life to this day. Moving to Fremont Ross High School and transitioning from the upperclassmen at the junior high to the lowerclassmen at the high school was another struggle. Once I got a job and a car and life became busier, I realized I tend to focus on what is next. Oh boy, and if it's difficult, it's a real challenge. I now realize sometimes you should stop and focus on what you have overcome. An extra boost of confidence in knowing where you came from gives you the momentum to face what is next. I highlight some of my struggles because we're all human and nothing in life is straightforward or comes without challenges. Personal motivation and drive and determination that is within each of us helps us meet our goals. When you put your mind to something and you practice to achieve your personal best or excellence, it's like playing an instrument in Bach or Mozart's orchestra, or shooting hoops in the Final Four NBA championship. You can tell when you practice and when you don't. Those that choose not to practice to achieve their personal best will be far surpassed by their peers who challenge themselves and practice that much harder to progress towards excellence. The military taught me this. We set goals, and even if they shift throughout the year or time period we establish, we strive to achieve them. Some may be simple and others may prove to be unreachable, but they're still on the list. In the U.S., we have the luxury to have a full volunteer military force. There are approximately 1 million active duty Air Force airmen, Army soldiers, Navy sailors, Marines, Coast Guard, and Space Force guardians. And that's not counting the approximately 800,000 National Guard and Reserve troops. That is remarkable. As people volunteer for the military, one of the most common questions is why? Why did you decide to join the military? Many veterans state to serve my country. And that's one of my top 3 reasons as well. My main reasons for joining the military were free education and to see the world. Coming from a middle-class family and living in Fremont, there are a few options for what you can do after high school. One is employment. You earn money right away and you join the workforce, which is mainly industrial or farming in this area. Second is to enlist in the military. And lastly is to enroll in college. I was the youngest of 4 children, and I watched my older sister go straight to college after high school and saw her struggle with its expense. I was torn between joining the military or going to college, but I knew that if I went to college, I would have the same financial struggle. I was accepted to the University of Cincinnati, but I turned it down because I knew I would incur a huge debt, and I thought there has to be a better way. I wanted an education, so I knew I wasn't going to start in the workforce right out of high school. Joining the Air Force changed the trajectory of my life. The military trained me for 2.5 years to operate radios on an E-3 AWACS, and all the while I received a paycheck. I learned a trade and was paid to learn it. How many of you remember the movie Rambo or watch the newest Top Gun. Yeah, that wasn't me. I didn't do any of that. I didn't take a conventional route in the military. Many people join the military and stay in the same job for their entire career. I joined the Air Force and was active duty enlisted before I became an officer. I did not like my job, so I changed my circumstances. There is something in your life, if there's something in your life that does not meet your personal goals, then it's time to do something different. It isn't easy, and in many cases, it's very difficult. But always keeping the goal as your focus, and if something does not align with your plan of how to reach that goal, it could be the people who surround you, they should be supporting you, or where you're at, a job or a place you live, or what you are currently doing. You may need more education or a change in career. Then it's time to change your course. I joined the Air National Guard next and left active duty because I wanted to go to school full-time. My goal was to become an officer. I took a huge leap and had faith and trust that in the long run I would achieve my goal. I used part of my Montgomery GI Bill, which is money that the government can match a military member so they can go to college, and I went to school full-time and did guard drill once a month. I lived very minimalistically and kept my degree as my goal. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in December 2002, and in January 2003, my guard unit was deployed to the country of Oman, and I was with them. I was mobilized 2 months later and spent 13 out of 18 months deployed to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Iraq, Uzbekistan, all in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. When I was demobilized in August of 2004, my focus remained the same. I wanted my commission as an officer. I had my degree, and I was not going to be deployed anytime soon since I had just returned, and I applied and I was accepted to my commissioning source. I reached my big goal, so all I could think about is, what's next? Since it's not very common to be in charge of people who used to be your supervisors, I decided I needed another change. I switched to the Air Force Reserves and I moved to a different state. That was not an easy transition, but to continue on my personal goals to achieve what I aspired to, I accepted this challenge and pursued it. Incidentally, I set my next goal. To be promoted to major, you need to have your master's degree. I still had Montgomery GI Bill left, so I used that and actually paid for my master's degree, and I have no student loan debt. While I highlighted many high points in my military career, what I may not have elaborated on is the fact that when faced with an obstacle that was in direct conflict with my goal, I had a choice to make. One of my hardest decisions was to retire this past April as a lieutenant colonel, instead of achieving my last military goal of staying in until May of 2024. I quickly shifted my focus to a new goal when I made the decision to retire earlier this year. My latest goal was to move back to Ohio and to help take care of those who helped to raise me and to give back to the local community. I started a job with the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services as the Disabled Veterans Outreach Specialist as of Monday of this week. I want to make a difference and give back to the local veterans, mentor future veterans, and volunteer my extra time. In closing, I would like to honor all of the veterans and their spouses, first responders, and of course, all of our amazing teachers. I believe every time a difficult decision faces each and every one of us, what we decide and how we take action defines the person we are. Hopefully your decisions are aligned with your goals. Remember who is there to support you, not only what you're doing to reach your goals, but where you're headed. And know when it's time to make necessary changes, no matter how difficult they are, in order to achieve your goals. Thank you, and God bless the United States of America.
First, I want to say thank you, Mrs. Barrier, for that wonderful speech. Next, the concert choir will perform God Bless America, accompanied by Cynthia Ramsdell. Now, there are some people among our own Ross family that we would like to recognize. If you're in here, please stand. And help me give them a huge round of applause for Fremont Ross's own staff veterans, Russ Brennan, Jeff McNutt, and Victoria Bowser. Additionally, we have a number of seniors that are also planning to enlist, so please stand if you're in attendance. Cadence Martinez going into the Air Force. Sydney Aberg, Naomi Medina, and Angelina Rodriguez have plans to enlist in the Army. Logan Weisenauer will be going into the Marines. And Bryn McDonald going into the Navy. We want to thank all our little giants that have served, are currently serving, and those who are enlisting after graduation. There are some other special thank yous that I wanted to include. A huge thank you to the 3 gentlemen here today to help with sound, lighting, and the video streaming. This would not be near what it is today without them. Additionally, I would like to thank my leadership class for attending to all the details in preparation for this event. And last but certainly not least, I would like to thank Mrs. Gallagher for giving all of us leadership students the opportunities to do things like this. She has done so much to help me plan this and pull everything together. So please help me give them all a round of applause. And now, seniors Mackenzie Smith and Kaylee Wagner will play taps in honor of all the Sandusky County veterans that we have lost in the past year.
Thank you. My name is Heidi Gallagher, and I am the leadership teacher here at Fremont Ross. And I would like to echo Ava's sentiments. This would not have been possible without all of the names in the program, including the leadership students. It was a lot of hard work, but we are so glad to be back in person to be able to honor our veterans in a way that we saw most fitting. So we are blessed to be in this beautiful new area as well. So I hope that you will check out the special thanks page. We would also like to add Mr. Scherzer, who helped us with some things, Mr. Cheney, Mr. Fox, and of course our superintendent who makes this all possible, Mr. Detweiler, who is here in the front row. So thank you. I would also like to add to you, not only was Ava Smith in charge of this entire assembly with the help of her fellow students, she also had a lead in the musical last weekend. So she has had a full plate for several weeks. So I appreciate the hard work and every small detail that Ava put into this to make sure that everything ran smoothly. This is honestly one of my favorite days of the entire school year, and I know Mr. Detweiler and I have spoken about that before. We love this day, and we love that Fremont Ross supports our veterans, and we love that we are able to do this. So thank you. I would like to now call up a couple special guests that I have here. So if my leadership students could come out here to the front of down here on the floor, and I would like to call out Harper Henderson, who is my little Navy girl today. Come on out, Harper. And also, we have Giannis Reynolds, who is going to be our postman today. Give it up for these two. We know that while you are serving, mail call is probably one of your favorite things because you get a little bit of mail from home. And so we have arranged it that all of our veterans here today, with the help of Harper and Giannis and my leadership students, everybody's going to get mail call. So we're going to do this as quickly as we can. Are we ready? So you're just going to hand it to one of them and they're going to find them in the crowd. The first one is Vicki Bowser, one of our own. Next, Todd Kosis. Ray Myers, and you guys can look out for them in the crowd there. Ray Myers. William Elder. David Plyhall. Ray Henderson. Tracy Holland. Jermaine Wettrick, I think. CJ Schwab. Jason Worley. Oh, losing some pants up here. Zane Eaton. Madison Bolenbach. Nathaniel Mueller. Kevin Cunning. Tom Widman. Mike Bishop. Emma Olub. John Lansway. Nick Rodriguez. Ryan Smith. Robert Corthell. Jerry Gallagher. Stephen Oberst. Richard Wasserman. Lonnie Burke. Albert Zamora. Eric Wolf. Richard Wickert. Terry Wurzel. Michael Henderson. James Millery. Margie Alspaugh. and Ken Heinlein. And if you did not receive one, we have some we have some for you. Robert Corthell, he's right there. He's got his hand up in the third row. We do have extra mail, so if you did not receive one, please make sure you see one of the leadership students. Okay. This is going to conclude our ceremony today. I would like to especially thank Julie Barrier again for being our guest speaker, as well as all the administration, TLC students, and especially, most importantly, our veterans who came out today. We do also have a parting gift for you, so thank you. You are dismissed. And you are dismissed. So students, if you would like to exit with your teacher first, that would be great. Thank you.